subsidiary plans to raise 5,000 crores and eventually go for an IPO. Sources say that the JV will be sealed in 2 to 3 months. TCS shares rise as the company begins a 17,000 crore rupee buyback. Meanwhile, Tata Group's retail subsidiary Trent becomes the 5th group company with a market cap of over 1 lakh crore rupees. Raymond's independent directors pledge to protect minority shareholders, appoint Burgess Desai as legal counsel to advise the board on the promoter family dispute. Nawaz Modi Singhania, the wife of Raymond MD Gautam Singhania, has accused him of domestic violence. Gautam Singhania has denied the charges. Fighting resumes in Gaza as the week-long ceasefire expires. Israel launches fresh strikes after accusing Hamas of firing a projectile. Hamas claims 32 people have been killed on account of Israeli strikes today. World leaders pledge over $500 million to compensate the poor and vulnerable nations for the irreversible impact of climate change at the COP28 summit in Dubai. Prime Minister Modi proposes India as a host for the climate summit in 2028. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he's looking forward to seeing results after India announced a high-level probe into an alleged plot to murder a Sikh separatist in New York. The US has indicted an Indian national and another unnamed Indian government official over a foiled assassination attempt on American soil. The Supreme Court questions the Tamil Nadu governor's decision of referring 10 bills to the president. The state government has called the governor's actions unconstitutional. Well, as always, let's start with the market action. A record-breaking day on the Lal Street. The Nifty gained 130 points plus and hit a record high in intraday trade. The sensex gained nearly 500 points. The mid-cap rally continues with the mid-cap index hitting an all-time high, and it's been doing that now for 15 straight sessions. It's been a stellar week for the stock markets, with the sensex and the Nifty gaining over 2%. This is the biggest weekly gain that we've seen in our markets over the last 5 months. Prashant is standing by now to take us through the market action, closing with a flourish for the week. Prashant.
Well, thanks very much for that. Indeed, new highs on the Nifty finally. So in a way, the Nifty, the large cap index, the benchmark has been playing catch up with what the rest of the market has already been doing, which is making newer highs. So the previous high was 20,222, and today we ended at almost 20,270, which is a meaningfully higher high now. So this is essentially where we stand. The Nifty is at a new high. The Bank Nifty is just about 3.5% from its respective high. The Nifty Bank has been the underperformer. And the mid and small cap indices, I've been half jokingly referring to the small cap index as the strongest index in the world. And I think if you count the numbers, I think it would be absolutely true. Just to kind of, I'll come back to the broader picture, but just to come back to the indices today and what they did, this is the picture, the Nifty Bank, the mid-cap index and the small-cap index. The Nifty Bank has started to participate, and today it crossed the important technical level as well. The gainers on the index coming through up on your screen, ITC, NTPC, Axis Bank, all gaining between 2.5–3% or so. There were gains in names like L&T and Britannia, which participated on the upside. In the broader market, market breadth was positive, not a huge degree, but very strong gains. And these are some of the biggest volume-led gains that we had today. So PFC and REC, absolute stellar returns on both these names now. The recent listing of IREDA has given these stocks another fillip. Dixon was up big time on fresh capital expenditure plans, 8%. Z Enterprises, Moil was up about 7%. There were names like HBL Power, Genus Power, JSW Infrastructure, Varroc Engineering, Shalimar Paints, an underperformer like Nosil came back into action as well. So this is the bulk of what really happened today. It's been a fantastic November. It's been almost a wild ride for global markets in the month of November. It's been good. What does December hold? We start, of course, with the state election results, which are scheduled for Sunday. The exit polls we already know. So unless and until there is some significant deviation from what the exit polls have shown us, I think the markets will move on. But that we'll know fair enough fairly quickly. The RBI policy outcome next week, I think, becomes important. And of course, the end of the year, as we've been saying for the last 1 month or so, has been historically, seasonally a strong part of the year. So expectations are that the run that we've had perhaps continues even as liquidity, etc., starts to thin out in the last 15 days of December. Back to you.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. That was the market action. But brokerages, as Prashant was pointing out, have upgraded India's full-year growth forecast after the second quarter GDP beat estimates, with growth coming in at 7.6%. So here's the breakdown. Let's start with Citi. It's revised its FY24 real GDP forecast upwards by 50 basis points to 6.7% on an annual basis. Citi says that India's GDP data indicates that investment is outpacing consumption. Morgan Stanley, meanwhile, has hiked its GDP forecast for the fiscal to 6.9%. That's on a year-on-year basis, highlighting that the rise in forecast has been driven by robust domestic demand. However, HSBC expects growth to soften from these levels, and this could be largely due to weaker FDI inflows as well as a softness in credit growth over the next few months. Auto sales witnessing robust growth in the month of November. Robust domestic sales aided Bajaj Auto, while Mahindra has registered strong passenger vehicle sales. Sonia is standing by to wrap up the auto sales data for us. Looking good, Sonia.
Very good, actually. If you look at the overall numbers for the sector, the growth has been in excess of double digits. Let me start with Bajaj Auto, where it's been over a 30% growth that we've seen overall, led largely by the pickup in the domestic market. Exports are still slightly slow, but on a month-on-month basis, exports have recovered. And the management told us that while the market has grown about 8% in terms of retail sales in the festive season, Bajaj Auto has doubled compared to the market in terms of growth. Apart from that, let's move on to the tractor sector, because over there's a bit of a slowdown because of the unseasonal rains. So both Escorts as well as M&M have seen a low single-digit growth in the tractor sales. But talking about M&M, the passenger vehicle sales for M&M have been very strong because of good growth in the SUV space. In fact, even a couple of the others, like say Maruti, reported good set of numbers. The utility vehicles sector has shown a very good growth, although the small car segment is still struggling. And the management said that the demand trends continue to be very strong even in the utility space because of the SUV segment growing. They've already reached 25% market share in the SUV segment, and they think that is something that can continue. Finally, for Tata Motors, the commercial vehicle segment for Tata Motors has been particularly weak. It has underperformed its peers like Ashok Leyland. There's been slower growth in the overall business as well. It's a 1% fall that we've seen, while passenger vehicle growth, barring electric vehicles, passenger vehicle growth was very lackluster. But the important bit for Tata Motors is that 90% of their business comes from Jaguar Land Rover. So in that sense, there's not too much of a worry. But having said that, yes, domestic sales for Tata Motors were slightly on the weakish side. Low single-digit growth is what we've seen in passenger vehicle sales. So all in all, you'd have to say a bit of a mixed bag coming in for the auto sector this month. Back to you.
Sonia, many thanks for joining us. In GST revenue collection for November, clocking an annual growth rate of 15%. The overall revenue stood at 1.67 lakh crore rupees. This is slightly below the 1.72 lakh crores collected in October. GST revenue collected in the first 8 months of this financial year stands at about 12% higher compared to what we saw last fiscal same time. Now, India's manufacturing activity continued to expand for the month of November. The S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index coming in at 56, rebounding from an 8-month low of 55.5 in October. The rise being fueled by a reduction in price pressures as well as an increase in demand. Employment in the sector increased for the 8th month in a row. And a strong debut for Flair Writing on the Lal Street. The stock listed at 501 rupees a share, which is a 66% premium over its issue price of 304 rupees. The company's IPO was subscribed nearly 50 times. The big corporate story, JSW Group has inked a joint venture agreement with China's SAIC Motor to expand operations of MG Motors in India. Now, in May this year, SAIC Motor had said that it was looking to reduce its ownership in MG Motor India to allow domestic players to take majority stake. The joint venture also marks JSW Group's foray into the automobile sector. Parikshit is standing by now with the details. Parikshit, take us through the contours of the deal and when we can expect this JV to finally be closed.
Well, JSW Group, which has been very interested in entering the electric mobility segment, will be picking up a 35% stake in this joint venture with SAIC Motor. Now, SAIC Motor is a Chinese state-owned company the largest producer of automobiles in China by volume. Just for example, they produced about 482,000 vehicles in the month of September. So this is a big Chinese company which wanted to make a big entry into the India market with MG Motor. MG Motor's parent is SAIC. So this is a JV between JSW and SAIC to drive MG Motor India's operations here domestically. So what will this lead to? One, it will give both companies a lot of scale. There will be a huge expansion of capacity over the next few years, a big localization drive that JSW is very interested in. So greater localization of electric vehicle components in India and launching more electric vehicle and alternate fuel options for the India market and charging infrastructure as well. So we believe that JSW Group really wants to make a big mark in the EV space. As far as the contours of this JV goes, we are yet to know the exact amount of money that JSW Group would be putting in, but we know from MG Motor and from their first presentation made about their intention to divest stake in India, they want to raise about 5,000 crore by divesting majority stake in the company, eventually go for an IPO in a few years and make this a Indian company. So this is an Indianization of MG Motor, which is going on as per SAIC's strategy. This JV between JSW and SAIC will take at least 2 to 3 months to take effect.
All right, Parikshit, appreciate you joining us. In fact, JSW Group's chairman and managing director Sanjay Jindal spoke with CNBC-TV18 a few months ago, where he hinted at a potential deal with MG Motor when I asked him if one was in the making. Take a look.
On MG Motor, if you are asking me specifically, because I don't shy away from difficult questions, that's also in one of the is one of the lists in our list. Could be one of the options if they want to sell, but I'm not sure as yet.
Okay, a majority stake, is that what you're eyeing as far as MG Motors is concerned? And what else is on that list, sir? You said that that's one of the contenders on the list. What else is on the list?
There are many opportunities, global opportunities, which they all want to, they are knocking at India's doors and they are looking for good partners in India. So we could partner up with European companies, Japanese companies, Chinese companies. So there are so many opportunities which are existing today.
Well, that's Sanjay Jindal speaking to me in June this year, and finally that deal has come through. Now, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has referred the probe against Vivo over alleged irregularities involving Chinese investments to the Serious Fraud Investigations Office. Sources also say that a similar case against MG Motor India has been referred to a senior MCA, that is a Ministry of Corporate Affairs official, for a detailed probe. TCS has kick-started the fifth share buyback from today. The IT service giant has announced a plan to buy back shares worth 17,000 crore rupees at a premium of 18% through a tender offer route. The company intends to buy 4.2 crore shares at a premium of 4,150 rupees a share. And staying with the Tata Group, its retail arm Trent has become the fifth group company to join the elite club of 1 lakh crore rupees in market capitalization. The share price of Trent has more than doubled in 2023, recording its best performance since 2009. Tata Group's most valuable company, TCS, has a market cap of nearly 13 lakh crore rupees. And defence stocks, including Hindustan Aeronautic and Bharat Forge, perking up in trade today. This after the Defence Acquisition Council approved the capital acquisition proposals worth over 2 lakh crore rupees. The Defence Ministry has said 98% of the total procurement will be sourced from domestic industries. Now, Raymond's independent directors have hired Burgess Desai as their legal counsel amidst the public dispute between Raymond's managing director Gautam Singhania and his estranged wife Nawaz Modi. The Raymond Group has lost nearly 2,500 crore rupees in market cap as the stock has fallen for 12 consecutive sessions, but today there was some recovery. Now, independent directors have also pledged to protect the interests of minority shareholders. Santhya Gora joins us now with the latest. Santhya, so what is the plan of action from here?
Raymond's independent directors have written to the exchanges and have apprised them that they have been monitoring the situation with regards to the dispute between Nawaz Modi Singhania and her husband Gautam Singhania. Remember, Nawaz Modi Singhania has accused her husband Gautam Singhania of physically assaulting her. Now, in this letter, the independent directors have reiterated their commitment to protect the interest of non-promoter minority shareholders, employees and stakeholders. They have also said that they will ensure that these matrimonial disputes do not affect the capacity of Gautam Singhania as the MD and chairperson to protect the interest of all the shareholders and all the stakeholders. Remember, recently IIS had written to the independent directors of Raymond and had urged them to initiate an independent investigation in these allegations levelled by Nawaz Modi Singhania. Now, in this letter, the independent directors have informed the exchanges that they have appointed an independent legal counsel, Mr. Desai, who has no links whether to the company or to the promoters. Now, in this letter, the independent directors have also said and also informed the exchanges that the matrimonial disputes are beyond the remit of the independent directors, but they have also assured the exchanges that they will proactively initiate measures the moment required.
All right, Sandhya, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Reserve Bank of India said that more than 97% of the 2,000 rupee notes in circulation have now been returned to the banking system. The Reserve Bank has said that only about 9,700 crore rupees worth of notes are still in circulation. GoFirst CEO Kaushik Khona has resigned from the grounded carrier. In a letter to employees, Khona questioned the resolution professionals' inability to attract any buyers for the airline. Khona also said that employees have not been paid for nearly 6 months despite several requests to the resolution professional, the COC and the Vadia Group. This comes after insolvency proceedings were initiated against the airline in May this year. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has welcomed India's decision to set up a high-level probe into allegations of an assassination plot against a Sikh separatist on American soil. Blinken said he's looking forward to results just days after the probe was constituted. US prosecutors have meanwhile indicted an Indian national and another unnamed government official over a foiled assassination attempt on American soil. Take a look.
With regard to India, first, this is an ongoing legal matter, so you'll understand I can't comment on it in detail. I can say that this is something we take very seriously. A number of us have raised this directly with the Indian government in past weeks. The government announced today that it was conducting an investigation, and that's good and appropriate, and we look forward to seeing the results.
US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken then. Our global pharma giant Pfizer has said it will discontinue its experimental weight loss pill that was meant to be consumed twice a day. The company has observed that patients had trouble tolerating the drug during a mid-stage clinical study. Patients complained of adverse side effects, including mild gastrointestinal issues. A large share of patients also stopped taking the drug in the trial itself, so that trial now being aborted. Back home, 44 private schools in Bengaluru received bomb threats this morning through an email. The email claimed that the explosives were planted in the schools. Bengaluru police evacuated students and staff from schools as a safety precaution. However, the City Commissioner of Police has called the bomb threats a hoax. The Supreme Court has questioned Tamil Nadu governor's decision of referring 10 bills to the president. This after state government called the governor's actions unconstitutional. The court has observed that after withholding assent, the bill cannot be sent to the president. It also further urged the governor to resolve the impasse with the government. The matter will next be taken up on the 8th of December. Up next on India Business Hour, a landmark climate finance deal at COP28 summit in UAE. Prime Minister Modi proposes India as a host for the climate summit in 2028. Catch all of CNBC-TV18's news and updates on WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Global news, air raid sirens went off in Israel and the hour before the truce was due to end this morning. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Hamas did not respect its obligation to release hostages and has launched rockets towards the citizens of Israel. Israel has also claimed to have intercepted a rocket fired from Gaza. At least 32 Palestinians are said to have been killed in Israeli strikes since the temporary truce ended. As per Gaza's health ministry, even after the ceasefire was lifted, negotiations brokered by Qatar, Egypt and Israel with Hamas continue. Well, moving on now, world leaders have gathered in Dubai for the crucial UN Climate Summit, or COP28. Leaders arrived at a consensus on the Loss and Damage Fund, which was first announced at COP27. It will provide financial aid to poor nations that are vulnerable to the impact of climate change. The host of this summit is UAE, and Germany have pledged $100 million each, while Italy has pledged over $140 million towards the fund. Other countries that have pledged funding include the US, Japan and the UK. While addressing COP28, Prime Minister Modi proposed to host COP33 in India. He also introduced the Green Credit Initiative, focused on creating carbon sinks through people's participation.
आज मैं इस मंच से 2028 में COP33 समिट को भारत में होस्ट करने का प्रस्ताव भी रखता हूं।
And I urge countries to speed up their net zero timelines to get there as close as possible to 2040 in developed countries and 2050 in emerging economies. Second, we cannot save a burning planet via fire holes of fossil fuels.
My heart that COP28 will be another critical turning point towards genuine transformational action at a time when already, as scientists have been warning for so long, we are seeing alarming tipping points being reached.
Only last year, the world had spent more than $2 trillion in weapons, amounts that could be invested to fight hunger and to confront the climate change issue.
To date, the UAE has invested $100 billion in financing climate action, with a main focus on renewable and clean energies. We have also committed to invest in approximately $130 billion over the next 7 years.
Well, climate action there at COP28. Now, the stage is set for Super Sunday. Results for the 5 state assembly elections will be announced, and we will, of course, bring you our special programming right here on Counting Day. But before that, let's quickly recap the key findings of the various exit polls that have come in overnight. Now, what we've compiled for you with the quick caveat, exit polls may go wrong. But first, let's start with Madhya Pradesh, where both the BJP and the Congress are headed for a photo finish. That is what the polls suggest. Today's Chanakya is the outlier, predicting a thumping majority for the BJP. And of course, Access My India also projects that it will be a sweep for the BJP as far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned. On to Rajasthan. It looks like a cliffhanger if one goes by the polls. The Matrice poll is forecasting a clean sweep for the BJP, though. Remember, polling was held in 199 seats in Rajasthan. So that's as far as the picture for Rajasthan goes via the exit polls. Polling in the Karanpur seat was postponed due to the death of the Congress candidate. Now, Telangana, once again, could be a surprise. The Bharat Rashtra Samiti, the BRS, headed by KCR, the tally is expected to go down significantly. CNX has given a complete majority to the Congress as far as Telangana is concerned. Could it be the big upset of the state elections? One will have to see. Chhattisgarh, all polls giving Bhupesh Baghel-led Congress the edge. Today's Chanakya has given the Congress a thumping majority with 57 seats. So that's the story as far as Chhattisgarh is concerned. It is advantage Congress. And finally, Mizoram, where none of the polls are giving the ruling MNF or the Congress a complete majority. The Access My India poll forecasts a sweeping majority for the Zoram People's Party. So Mizoram could potentially throw up a surprise as well. And it's not just a Super Sunday, we also have a Super Saturday lined up for you on CNBC-TV18. It is the time of the year when CNBC-TV18 salutes and celebrates excellence in the corporate and policy-making arena. From companies that have navigated economic and market forces to come out on top, to captains who've helmed their ships with panache and foresight, to individuals and organizations that have contributed to putting India on the global map once again. The 19th edition of the coveted CNBC-TV18 India Business Leader Awards will kick off at the Trident Hotel in Mumbai, 5 p.m. onwards, and you can catch the action live as the awards ceremony unfolds right here on CNBC TV 18, on CNBC-TV18.com, on X, on Instagram, and of course on our WhatsApp channel.